say something to you that sounds like a made it up, and it's really in the news. The FBI said they don't know who's was at the White House. What? What type of investigation did you do? We don't know whose it is. It was in Hunter Biden's room. It said Hunter's on the bag. What do you mean who's? It's crazy. Joe is doing the best he mother can. We done lowered the bar so low for Joe. As long as Joe don't fall, we be fine. Go on and get up them stairs, Joe. There you go. That's a boy.
Before we even dive into this, let's get one thing straight. If you've ever enjoyed real stand-up comedy, the kind that's raw and unapologetic, then you know who Katt Williams is. Even if you're not a super fan, his voice, his rhythm, that sharp fire in his delivery, it's impossible to forget. But here's what makes Katt stand out. He's not just another funny guy with a mic. He's one of those rare figures that people either admire, fear, or quietly pray, never mentions their name on stage. Because when Katt speaks, it hits. And when he calls you out, it echoes. What makes this all wild is that for every time he's made crowds laugh till they cried, he's also left a trail of chaos behind him. Careers have stumbled, reputations have cracked, and some people never really bounced back after being caught in his verbal crossfire. And that's not exaggeration. Stepping into Katt's line of fire doesn't just mean losing a debate, it means getting dragged into a spotlight you never wanted. And once that happens, there's no way to rewind it. But let's take it back to where it all started. Katt hit the comedy world in the late 1990s like a lightning bolt. His style was untouchable. Not just jokes, but real talk mixed with wit, spot-on impressions, and razor-sharp social commentary. Every performance felt alive, like he was 5 moves ahead of everyone else in the room.
Like, do you think Shaq could be a stand-up comedian? Who do you think?
I think that Shaq and Russell Simmons should get out of comedy and stay in their lane. They don't see us making a league of professional basketball players under 6 foot. So what qualifies these dudes because they got $100 million to come over in comedy and do Shaq's All-Star? Get out of here, you bum.
For years, the industry had no clue what to do with Katt Williams. He didn't play by anyone's rules, didn't tone down his jokes, and definitely didn't care about keeping Hollywood's favorite images clean. That's exactly why people respected him, and why others were terrified of him. But this is also where his story starts getting messy. Because while Katt was earning his spot as a true comedy legend, he was also gaining another reputation. One built around total unpredictability. We're talking wild arrests, headline-making altercations, on-stage meltdowns, and viral fights that had fans asking if he was spiraling right before their eyes. Some wrote him off as unstable. Others said he was just misunderstood. But through it all, Katt stayed silent about his personal chaos. He didn't explain. He didn't defend. He just kept moving like nothing could touch him. Then came 2018. The year that gave us one of the most unforgettable Katt Williams moments ever. That radio interview with Atlanta host and comedian Wanda Smith. And believe it or not, that day wasn't even supposed to be about him. He showed up to support his friend Red Grant and celebrate Red's Emmy win for Atlanta. That's it. The plan was simple. Chill vibes, laughter, maybe a few fun stories. At first, that's exactly how it went.
What's your favorite thing to cook? Your boys,
They like for me to, I do a really nice broccoli. They like my broccoli and they love my baked chicken.
Hey, right now, look up your phone and see what it takes to make broccoli. And tell me, does it say heat up water? That's the only step in broccoli, heat up water, simmer. Have you ever heard of burned broccoli? Can you burn broccoli?
They talked comedy, careers, and Katt reminded everyone that he had dropped more stand-up specials than most comedians even dream of, and all of them self-funded. It wasn't arrogance, it was confidence, the kind that makes people a little uneasy because it's earned. Then the tone shifted. They got into Netflix deals, comedy pay gaps, and who Hollywood was really backing with the big checks. That's when Katt started saying what many whisper behind closed doors. That some legendary comedians like Monique had been treated unfairly while others were being fast-tracked to fame. He brought up names like Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, and Jared Carmichael. That's when Wanda Smith stepped in. She didn't like how casual Katt sounded talking about Tiffany Haddish. In her view, Tiffany wasn't lucky. She worked for her success. And honestly, that's a fair point. But here's where it went left. It wasn't about disagreement anymore. It got personal. Because when Katt feels challenged, especially in a way that touches his credibility, he flips into full battle mode. He suddenly asked Wanda how many kids she had. Sounds harmless, right? But anyone who knows comedy knows that's a setup. From that moment, the whole vibe changed. Every answer Wanda gave became material. Every response turned into a sharper punchline. The room's energy shifted instantly. Red Grant was laughing nervously. The co-hosts were scrambling to cool things down.
Because it's made in a pot of water.
You don't know nothing about.
You know what her second meal they love from her? What I do with corn.
Whatever.
I like to get it out that can and I put it in there. And then I get a can of water and I put it on there. And then I get some Zatarans. They don't expect that. I sprinkle Zatarans on my
Great
corn.
cook.
Aw.
Whatever.
Yes, ma'am. You good at heating stuff up.
And Wanda started realizing she was losing control of her own show. Viewers later split into camps. Some said Katt crossed the line, others said Wanda poked the bear first. But one thing everyone agreed on, it was brutal and unforgettable. The breaking point came when Wanda brought up Katt's kids and mentioned his legal troubles. That was the moment everything snapped. That's the exact moment everything flipped. According to Katt, there were clear boundaries set before that interview. Certain topics that were supposed to be completely off limits. Whether you believe that or not, the shift in his energy was undeniable. You could literally see it happen. This wasn't comedy anymore. This was precision. Every word after that hit like a dagger, and by the time the interview wrapped, the internet had already made up its mind. Clips went viral everywhere. Some called it iconic, others called it mean-spirited, but everyone agreed. Wanda Smith walked out of that studio completely humiliated. And the drama didn't end there. Days later, reports surfaced that Wanda's husband confronted Katt outside a comedy club, and things allegedly got tense, fast. There were even claims that a weapon was involved, turning what started as a funny radio moment into something way more serious. Soon after, Wanda lost her radio gig, and that light-hearted interview turned into a full-blown career crisis. This is where fans completely divided. Some said Katt was standing up for himself. Others said he went after someone who wasn't on his level. That question, whether Katt is defending himself or destroying someone, has followed him ever since. Because the truth is, this wasn't the first time Katt's life collided with chaos.
Let you do your special, Gerard Carmichael, but nobody's gonna watch it. They're gonna let you be a star, Lil Rel, but you ugly. And white people don't believe in ugly stars. They think you have to be somebody that women want to sleep with and men want to be. But because we black, they say, oh, you don't even deserve that. So you get Kevin Hart, Lil Rel, Gerard Carmichael, all in a row, Hannibal Buress, just dudes that no woman would talk to in Lenox Mall, let alone you making them movie stars. Why? Because you know ain't nobody gonna sleep with them. You only got Tiffany Haddish. She been doing comedy since she was 16. You can't tell me your favorite Tiffany Haddish joke. Why? Because she ain't done a tour yet. She ain't done a special. She has not proven the ability to tell jokes back to back for an hour to nobody. And they are already ready to down Monique and up somebody who has showed them Girls Trip. Did you think she wrote Girls Trip, goofball?
And it wouldn't be the last. Jail, conflict, and confrontation became a constant in his story. But there's something deeper here that most people don't see. Jail is a trigger for Katt. Anytime someone brings up his past legal troubles, his reaction is instant, emotional, and intense. Over the years, he's been arrested for all kinds of things, from altercations to random scuffles caught on camera, bottle incidents, heated arguments, street confrontations. It all got thrown together to create this image of him as reckless and unstable. Hollywood used those moments to tear down his credibility, to make him look like the problem. But what they didn't expect was that Katt was paying attention and keeping receipts. So after the Wanda Smith mess, most people assumed it was just another chaotic Katt Williams episode, another story for the internet to laugh about and move on from. But they were wrong. Katt wasn't spiraling, he was strategizing. While everyone saw madness, Katt saw a pattern. The longer he stayed quiet, the more he realized that certain people were twisting stories, rewriting the truth, and profiting off his reputation as unstable while they walked away clean. And if there's one thing Katt Williams cannot stand, it's dishonesty. That's what led him into his next big war, his long personal feud with Faizon Love. Now, this wasn't some quick internet beef. This one had history. It went all the way back to 2012.
We were going to do a tour, and he, it was basically what we were talking about, that headliner stuff. But it's his show. But he says, I want you to open up. I'm like, cool. I actually felt, honored, like, good, because I'm just getting back in the game, you know what I'm saying? But he couldn't handle that heat. It was heat. I was shooting heat. Boosh! And I was like, where's this coming from? Like, I remember one time we were in Vegas. He came from his dressing room because the crowd was, when the crowd goes crazy.
Right. Stomping feet and everything.
You see him coming out with some chicken in his robe, like, what? Get him off stage.
Wow. So y'all were cool, though. Y'all were cool up until the whole tour thing.
Listen, you a brother doing positive things.
Yeah.
I'm not done, but don't. He wants, like I say, he's something else. I mean, if he just come on out of that thing and just be who he is, come out of that closet, you know what I'm saying?
According to Faison, Katt allegedly pulled a gun on him over a $50,000 dispute tied to a comedy tour. Heavy claim, the kind of thing that can stain someone's name forever. But the craziest part, Katt didn't even hear about it directly. He found out through paparazzi. Imagine that. You're minding your business and reporters start asking about a serious accusation you didn't even know existed. Most people would rush to deny it, but Katt didn't. Instead, he flipped the whole situation on its head and accused Faison of being a snitch. For Katt, the real issue wasn't just the accusation. It was that Faison allegedly brought law enforcement and the media into something that should have been handled privately between two men. And from that moment on, Faison made it his mission to bring up Katt's name everywhere. Interviews, podcasts, talk shows, he always had something slick to say. At first, people brushed it off as harmless industry shade, but over time, his story kept changing. One day, Katt was violent. The next, he was jealous. Then suddenly, Faison was calling him fake. Then came those odd little insinuations about his personal life. Comments that had nothing to do with comedy.
Not Will Smith and Chris Rock. These are when two large boulders come together and you can't see Chris Rock winning at all. He's humiliated. If you were gonna slap a comedian, he was the #1 to slap. Head of the coons, so slappable. And if you gonna slap him, you just need the greatest guy, the bestest guy, the one who's shown us him being on his best behavior since the 90s. That guy is the one that will have to slap in order for the type of ratings we need and attention to be on this.
That's when people started noticing something strange. The more Faison talked, the less believable he sounded. Instead of exposing Katt, it started looking like he was exposing himself. And while Faison ran his mouth for years, Katt stayed silent. He didn't rush to respond, he waited. And when he finally did, it was brutal, sharp, and unforgettable. Katt dismantled him piece by piece. He pointed out every contradiction, every time Faison switched up his story. He laughed at his attempts to play victim. He even questioned his credibility as both a comedian and an actor, and did it with that effortless Katt Williams confidence. Then, in a perfectly timed mic drop moment, Katt casually revealed that he owns a pot-bellied pig named Faison. Funny, sure, but symbolically, it was pure destruction. That was his way of saying, you're done. And for the first time in over a decade, the internet actually agreed with him. This time, there was no debate. The public fully sided with Katt Williams. Clips went viral comparing Faison's old interviews side by side, and fans started digging deep. Old footage resurfaced, timelines were checked, and suddenly the man who'd spent years calling Katt a fraud was the one caught changing his own story. Every inconsistency was laid out for the world to see, and people made it clear. Katt had receipts and Faison was exposed. But Katt wasn't done, not even close. Because in his eyes, Faison wasn't the real problem. He was just a small part of something bigger. The real issue was dishonesty, especially from people in power. And the next name on Katt's list, way bigger, Cedric the Entertainer. Now this one hit differently. It wasn't about street drama or petty insults. This was about something sacred in comedy, originality. Katt has accused Cedric for years of lifting one of his signature jokes from back in the late 1990s. And not just the concept, the entire delivery. The joke was about people blasting music so loud in their cars that they don't even realize when the engine shuts off. In Cedric's version, the car became a spaceship, which, on paper, sounds different. But when fans watched both performances side by side, the similarities were impossible to ignore. Same arm gestures, same exaggerated rhythm, same body language, even the same little bounce at the end. And let's be real, comedians don't just accidentally copy physical bits move for move. So when Cedric was asked about it later, he brushed it off, denied everything, and acted unbothered. But during his interview with Shannon Sharpe, Katt didn't hold back. He flat out said Cedric was lying. And once again, the internet got to work. Fans compared the two routines, slowed them down frame by frame, and came to their own conclusion. It looked way too close to be coincidence. The internet overwhelmingly took Katt's side, again. What made this sting even more was that Katt has always shown respect to other comedians. He's openly credited Mark Curry for helping him shape some of his early material. So this wasn't about ego, it was about ownership. Katt was protecting his craft, while Cedric gave no acknowledgement at all. By then, two major names had gone up against him, and neither walked away looking good. But even that wasn't the end. Because if Faison represented dishonesty and Cedric represented theft, the next feud was all about ego and pettiness. Enter Michael Blackson. Their tension goes all the way back to Friday After Next, where Katt's character, Money Mike, became iconic. One of those roles people still quote decades later. Michael Blackson's role was funny, sure, but it became more meme-worthy than legendary, and that imbalance clearly lingered between them. Fast forward to 2021, Blackson made jokes about Katt's old arrests and viral fight clips during Drink Champs. He said it was all love, just jokes, but Katt didn't take it that way. So when they crossed paths again on Wild 'N Out in 2022, things got tense fast. According to Blackson, Katt went off on him verbally on set. The rest of the cast, including Nick Cannon, had no idea there was even bad blood. Blackson later said he tried to keep things playful for the cameras, throwing light jokes about Katt's height and hair, while Katt fired back by targeting his entire career. Afterward, Blackson tried to smooth things over in interviews, but even then, he couldn't resist sneaking in subtle digs. Katt wasn't having it. When Shannon Sharpe asked about it later, Katt barely contained his annoyance. He said he had tried to mentor Blackson years ago, telling him to tighten up his material if he wanted to be respected long-term. But according to Katt, Blackson ignored that advice, and then turned bitter about it. At this point, whether you agreed with him or not, one thing became undeniable. When Katt Williams speaks, people listen, because he wasn't just calling out fellow comedians anymore, he was calling out an entire system. By the time he sat down for his viral Club Shay Shay interview, the energy had completely shifted. This wasn't about petty beefs or one-liners anymore. This was personal and deliberate. The jokes stopped, the laughter faded, and what came next sent shockwaves across the entertainment world. Katt started unpacking something he's been hinting at for years. The idea that Hollywood doesn't just shape careers, it controls them. According to him, there's a pattern. A system designed to keep entertainers in check once they reach a certain level of influence. He described it as quiet but powerful, and said it's no coincidence who rises and who suddenly disappears. Then came the revelation that made everyone pause. Katt claimed that his Money Mike character in Friday After Next was originally written with a disturbing scene that he refused to film. He said from that moment, everything in his Hollywood relationships changed. Now pause on that for a second. Whether you believe every detail or not, that's a serious claim. This wasn't about creative differences or a cut line. This was about a moment of humiliation being written in as a test of loyalty. Katt connected that to a long-running conversation in Hollywood, one that's been whispered about for decades. The idea that many entertainers, especially black men in the industry, face pressure to take on roles that strip away their dignity or box them into stereotypes just to move up. And before anyone dismissed it, he pointed out that he's not the only one who's spoken about it. Dave Chappelle has mentioned it. Martin Lawrence lived through it. Eddie Murphy dealt with it. But Katt went further than most. He didn't just criticize the industry itself. He called out the people inside it who allowed it to happen. And this is where everything truly caught fire. Katt Williams didn't just hint. He went all in, accusing Tyler Perry of acting as a gatekeeper. Not someone who opens doors, but someone who guards them. In Katt's view, Tyler didn't rise by changing the system. He rose by reinforcing it. He claimed Tyler's success came from maintaining a structure that rewards humiliation instead of honesty, performance instead of principle. That alone would have been explosive. But then Katt went straight for one of the biggest names in comedy, Kevin Hart. The box office powerhouse, global superstar, and stadium-filling brand, and Katt didn't hold back. He called Kevin what he believed to be an industry creation, someone who didn't climb his way up naturally but was fast-tracked because he was willing to take on roles that Katt himself refused to play. According to Katt, these were roles that felt embarrassing, disempowering, or stripped of real depth, the kind of parts that he said he could never accept, no matter the paycheck. He accused Hollywood of handing Kevin opportunities that other comics had turned down because they refused to compromise their self-respect. Now, to be fair, this feud didn't start yesterday. It's been brewing for years. Back in 2014, Katt publicly questioned Kevin's comedy credibility. By 2016, he was even calling Kevin a puppet on stage, challenging him to a $5 million showdown to prove who was the true king of comedy. But here's the twist most people forget. Later that same year, Katt actually apologized. On Atlanta radio, he admitted he had gone too far. He called Kevin the reigning king of comedy and said he regretted attacking another black man publicly during a time when division was already high. It seemed like growth, like peace had finally been made. But peace in Hollywood never lasts long. In 2018, during that now famous Wanda Smith interview, Katt criticized Tiffany Haddish, suggesting she was another example of how Hollywood picks favorites. Kevin jumped to her defense publicly, and just like that, the feud reignited all over again. This time, things went cold but tense for years, until the Club Shay Shay interview blew the lid off everything. Kevin responded almost immediately, posting a slick message telling Katt to let the anger go. Then, on ESPN, he joked about Katt claiming to read thousands of books a year, a playful jab, but also a reminder that the tension was still alive. And here's the deeper truth behind why this whole feud hit so hard with fans. It's not just about who's funnier, it's about who's real. Katt's not mad at Kevin's success. He's mad at what it represents, a system that rewards compliance over courage. The type of industry where the loudest, most honest voices get labeled difficult, unstable, or crazy, while the agreeable ones are handed trophies. But Kevin wasn't the only one who caught Katt's fire. Next on the list, Chris Rock. Katt didn't sugarcoat a thing. He called Chris the face of safe comedy, the industry's chosen voice, polished, controlled, and approved. Katt implied that Chris had become too comfortable representing a version of comedy that wouldn't shake the room anymore. Chris didn't clap back with words. He posted an old photo of them together, calm, silent, almost like saying, "I'm not engaging." But Katt wasn't done. After that infamous Oscars moment, Katt stirred things up again by suggesting the entire situation was staged, claiming Chris came out of it better than ever, reportedly landing a massive Netflix deal afterward. He even made fun of Chris's reaction, calling it made for TV. And then came the shocker, Steve Harvey. Katt accused Steve of being yet another gatekeeper, protecting his own empire instead of helping the next wave of talent rise up. He even claimed Steve stepped away from stand-up, not just because of TV fame, but because he lost a comedy showdown to Katt years earlier. 16 years later, when Katt brought that moment up again, it didn't sound like casual trash talk. It sounded like a victory lap. One more crown claimed in a war of words that never truly ended. But then, Katt took things beyond comedy altogether. And this is where even longtime fans were stunned. He turned his attention to rapper and actor Ludacris. According to Katt, both of them were up for the same role in Too Fast, Too Furious, but he claimed the decision went deeper than just acting skill. Katt suggested that Ludacris made compromises he wasn't willing to make, and that's why he got the part. It was an explosive accusation, and Ludacris didn't stay silent. He clapped back the best way he knows how, through music. He dropped a freestyle denying everything and joking about Katt's claims, flipping the situation into entertainment gold. By this point, Katt had gone nuclear. He wasn't just roasting peers, he was dismantling entire reputations one by one. But here's the most unbelievable part. Through all of it, despite the arrests, the drama, the feuds, and the chaos, people still believed him. Because for over 20 years, Katt Williams has never changed his tone. He's never softened his message to be liked or accepted, and that's what makes him dangerous. Not his temper, Not his insults, not even his wild moments, but the fact that every time he talks, people in power get nervous, and the audience listens. So now it's your turn. Do you think Katt Williams is exposing uncomfortable truths that Hollywood doesn't want out there? Or do you think he's just mastered the art of turning controversy into conversation better than anyone else? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to see it. See you on the next one.